Okay. Right. So, hello, Kobi. Nice to see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hello. Quite a few. I put on the Seeking Alpha website that I was going to speak to you, and I was amazed by the number of people who wanted to ask me questions. So I've tried to put them all together, and I guess they come out in 3 or 4 different areas. One is kind of the obvious ones about how ARBE is doing in regards to its timetable and the orders coming in, and then a lot of people were interested in your general view on how the whole market is moving, because it actually seems to be maybe taking off a little bit now, and people have asked for comparisons with other companies. And then I've got a few questions about my mathematical model and trying to home in a little bit on that and how that's going. So perhaps we could talk about the kind of the progress. You've said all along there's going to be, or you're hoping there's going to be 4 design-ins this year. And I think you reiterated that in November. Is that still on, do you think?
So first of all, we announced 2 deals, one of them with a top 10 OEMs that will use our chips for building a radar internally. Hopefully it will be launched in 26. And secondly, Hiren, our Chinese tier 1, announced that they are in the final stages of fusion with our radar and a camera for a car that will start production end of 25, early 26. The other 2, we believe that we are in the final stages of decision, if even might be that the decision already passed but didn't communicate it to us. We hope it will end up before the Christmas. If not, it will probably slip to early January. But we definitely see that that it's final. So it's not going to last for a year from now. So it's maybe it will slip in a few weeks to early next year. But we definitely see it moving on the right direction for a decision. As you probably said, that the problems in the automotive market are really affecting the decisions, as well as the price pressure, and the fact that the electrification is pushed is also influencing. So there is some, I think, major vectors that pushed decisions as well as implementation to 25. But I think the good news is that right now, all of the car manufacturers understand that in order to generate more revenues, and the only way to get out of the situation today is to generate more revenues, the cost structure is a bit problematic. They need a new mechanism of and a new service like the hands-free driving. And this is something that is achievable, it's behind the corner, and we definitely think that this will be the focus of majority of the OEMs, at least the big groups, next year. Also, the fact that AI and LLMs and neural nets becoming more and more powerful on the training side as well as on the production side. And just today, NVIDIA showed a $250 chip that has a crazy amount of computing power, especially for the neural nets. I think this is also helping to shorten the time for implementation of a real hands-free driving.
Yeah, you touched on quite a few things there. If we just go back, so the top 10 OEM, hopefully starting 2026. That's the one you announced in July, isn't it? Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, and then the hiring one, I think we got that in about September-ish.
Yeah.
Linking with the camera. Now, I kind of a similar thing. If we look at sort of competition, do you still see in terms of radar, it's still the Mobileye chip? Is that still the main piece of competition?
Yes, I think that this is the good thing that happened in 24 is that the barrier or the bar for imaging radar was set to 24 by 24 channels. NXP chipset, NTI chipset cannot support it, and Infineon, and basically it's us against Mobileye. I think that in terms of performance, we are more or less neck to neck. In terms of price and power, which are both very important, especially now, we have a huge advantage.
So Mobileye just announced a deal with Innoviz, didn't they? Another sort of Israeli company where they're integrating LiDAR into their system. So they're putting LiDAR with radar and cameras, whereas HiRain are just put in radar and cameras together. Is that suiting a different market, or are they competing?
It's a good question. So I think that the Chinese market today is a bit more advanced than the other markets from one hand, and from the other hand, the price pressure there is much higher to remove the LiDAR and to stay just with two sensors. On the Western world, and also they are not going to a full hands-free eyes-off driving, especially not on the highway. But I think in Europe right now, the trend is still in favor of LiDAR for hands-free driving. We start seeing customers questioning the need of a LiDAR, but I remind you that this deal between Mobileye and Innoviz is targeting level 4 shuttles. So it's full autonomous shuttles without a driver. I believe it's a bit of a niche market. So it's not a passenger's vehicle. It's not mass market. It's not millions of units. It's a very, very, very limited market.
Okay. And then in terms of price pressure, one of the other companies we follow is Hesai, and they've announced a sort of significant drop in price for their LiDAR system for next year. Is that going to impact, do you think? Does that make the Chinese market a bit tougher?
First of all, it's not a drop in price for their existing product. It's basically a cheaper product. Yeah, definitely there is a price pressure in the Chinese market, also on the radar. And this is why HiRain is trying to come to the customer and say, instead of buying $200 LiDAR of Hesai or RoboSense, and buy a low-end radar of $60-$70, which comes together $270, you can take imaging radar in $150 that solves you both problems. It replaces the low-end radar of $70-$80 and replaces you the LiDAR of $200. So in general, you're saving money. We just need to show that, of course, we are solving the problem.
Right. And is that problem would be for sort of level 3 autonomy rather than full autonomy? Is that the problem they're solving?
It's even it's hands-free driving, eyes-off driving. It's not full. It's not full Robo-taxi. The full Robo-taxi still going to use radar and LiDAR, and I think not the low-end LiDAR.
Okay, I mean the Robo-taxis are growing quickly in China, aren't they? They really seem to be taking off, whereas the rest of the world seem to be a little bit behind that market. So I guess that's.
I must say that if you're reading the reports, it might sound like this, but overall, Waymo has today more Robo-taxis than in entire China, as far as I know. And just yesterday, they announced that they're going to pursue options also in Japan, in Tokyo, they are launching. I think overall, Waymo is doing quite well in the robo-taxi. In China, there is 2 or 3 players like Pony AI and a few other players. And in the US, we basically left with Waymo alone after GM announced that it's shutting down Cruise. But overall, I think Waymo has a very good solution. Also, in China, every car has a remote driver that is controlling it. And in US, it's a bit more flexible. So there is remote drivers, there is a remote operator, but is watching after few cars. So I think still the technology of Waymo is stronger than what we see in China. But overall, yes, it's there is right now a tale of 2 cities. So it's 2 different industries.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the US and Waymo, when we last spoke, we had a little chat about Tesla, and you said can't be done without radar. And a lot of sort of people on the boards that I write about were a bit horrified and have had to backtrack quite quickly, because it would appear that Tesla are putting radar into their self-driving system. Do you see the Tesla offering as being a Waymo alternative, or is that not really on the cards yet, do you think?
Tesla today, they're anti-radar by religion. So I think they will continue to hold this position as long as Elon Musk controlling Tesla. And I don't see them changing their mind right now. I don't know what they will do with the regulation in 29 that basically forcing them to add emergency braking in any weather, any lighting condition up to a very long range. So Musk might influence the regulation. This is always an option, but other than that, I don't see how they are handling it. But we will see what will happen as we get close to 27. This is basically, the time that they must take a decision in order to have something in the market in 29.
Okay, great. So could we talk a little bit about the cash position? You just had a public offering in November, and I think you got 49 million out of that, more or less. Is that about the right figure?
Yeah, it's 41 million in total. 15 we got immediately. 15 are dependent on us announcing a Western OEM contract, which we believe is going to be in Q1. And the rest is a warrant that hopefully will be executed also next year. So I think this offering basically should bring us to cash flow positive somewhere around end of 26, early 27. With of course, we are counting on the revenues coming from the wins that we already have, and especially from China. But yeah, this should bring us to a safe harbor.
Okay, so you also in June you had the convertibles that had a couple of conditions on there. I think it was 300,000 shares a day and $3 share price, something like that. So are those conditions still reasonable as well, do you think, or are they pushed off a little bit?
We didn't reach the $3.1. We are negotiating now the holders of this and on extending the period, as well as reducing a bit the bar for the price. I think a very good announcement with a major German OEM will jump the share price to the 3.1 and even more. So in order to be sure that we will be able to reach this 30 million as well, we will do some adaptations for that.
Okay. And so do you think that's now a kind of enough cash to get to operations, or is it likely we're going to see some more market activity? What's your gut feeling?
Sorry, if we feel that we have enough cash, or
yeah, if you think with the facilities in place, do you think you have enough cash?
Yeah, well, we have enough cash. This is even without the 30 million, I think we have enough cash. With the option of the 30 million, we are definitely set. We even have enough cash to support our R&D for the next generation that we plan to launch in the somewhere closer to 27, 28 for the next cycle of cars for the next decade.
Okay, so if we talk a little bit about the R&D, a couple of quarters ago, there was a real focus on getting the chipset ready. That was kind of like, that was the number one priority. I kind of felt in the last earnings call that maybe the software was taking a little bit of more of your time. Is that true, or do you think you're still 100% on the chipset?
No, the minute that you finish with the chipset, you need to also finish with the software. For the software, there is two stages. There is the stage of freezing the software, freezing the APIs and the SDK, freezing the code, which we are definitely, I think, very close to this point. And then there is the ASPICE qualification for that might take a few more quarters, a quarter or 2 or 3 more quarters. This needs to be done before the entire system is on production, but the focus that we have is on freezing the code, because when you are freezing the code, you're allowing the tier ones to do everything that is needed on top of the radar. And then you have enough time to finish the software qualification. So definitely 25 will be our main focus, will be the qualification of the software, bringing it to full ASPICE compliance, and so on. On the chip side, we feel that we are very close to pass the goal line and have a full qualified chipset.
So you mentioned on the chip side, we've got the engineering samples, which I think you were talking about maybe getting out around this time, and then there's going to be some sort of, you're going to have to at some stage get to sort of mass production ready, and then actually start mass production. Have you got approximate dates for those, or rough ideas of when those three things are going to happen?
We are supporting now engineering samples, so it's a matter of, I don't know, as I said, I don't know if we will be able to finish it before Christmas or right after the New Year's vacation, but we have an order for engineering samples for non-automotive from Sensra that we published. They won a project for smart cities, so we will be able to deliver it to them in Q1. Finish getting the full automotive qualification might take a few more months for the review and everything, but the chips are, when you have engineering samples, it means that this is the chips that are going to production. It's basically that.
Okay.
I don't see right now qualification as something that holds our path to revenues.
Right.
So right now, I think the qualification of the chips and the full qualification of the chips, as well as the qualification of the software, is a bit before we will need to provide it for production.
Right. And if we maybe talk a little bit about Sensrad, we haven't mentioned that because you just mentioned the smart city one. Remember, way back in January, they announced some major customer orders. And how's that going? Because they're kind of non-automotive, really, aren't they? They're in a slightly different field.
Yeah, it's going quite well. The project is on track. We will provide them the first success, as I mentioned, early Q1, and they will start shipping it to customers this year. It's a contract for 25 and 26. And also there is a few other verticals that we are trying together to pursue in order to generate revenues faster from non-automotive. For example, there is some opportunity around small boats. There is opportunities also around the military, anti-drones detections, and so on. So we're trying also to give some focus to those verticals in order to be able to generate revenues and good margins, because those markets have a much better margins than automotive, sooner than later.
And a much better sales cycle as well, I guess.
Yeah, sales cycle is still, it's not online marketing still, but it's of course faster than automotive. I think everything is faster than automotive.
I think you could be right. Yeah. So how about waifu? We haven't mentioned waifu yet. How's the waifu?
Weifu.
Weifu.
Weifu is I think also the best for production right now, and they will be able hopefully also to generate some revenues for us by the end of 25.
Have you got actual SOP dates for those yet, or is that still being negotiated?
Sorry,
SOP dates, start of production dates. Are they
fixed? I think that they're still focusing on starting production this year.
Okay, excellent. I think I'm just checking. I think I've covered everything that people asked me to cover, and the main things I wanted to go over as well, which is good because we're getting towards the end of time. Is there anything else, ARBE, you want to put across from ARBE's point of view?
Yeah, I think 25 is going to be a very good year for us. So we are all excited here about the product, the maturity of the product, and the fact that we are on the last phase of getting it finally to production with our customers, and I'm excited.
Yeah. So do you think it'll actually be real production in 25, or do you think that's going to slip into 26? What would you?
I think we will be able to make it by the end of 25, at least in China, and 26 outside of China.
And we look at sort of quarter 4, 25, would you say? Or
right.
Just, yeah, quarter 4, 25. So about 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is the volume then, is it going to come sort of like en masse, or is it going to be a slow build up? Is it just going to come?
It will be in 25, it will be a slow build up. I hope in 25 it will be faster.
Okay. All right, Kobi, that's fantastic. Thanks again for giving us all your time. I really appreciate it, and I really hope I get to speak to you again in 25 as well. And I think a couple of the people who follow this are asking if we could do more of a sort of an open forum where a few more people are chatting as well. So if that's okay, perhaps we could organise that sometime, maybe towards the end of H1 next year. That would be great.
Yeah, sounds great.
Great. All right. Thanks again, Kobi. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.